Hey guys, DT here, and we're doing some Grand Tournament card reviews a week before the expansion. Going through each of the classes one by one, going through each of the cards, and right now we're on Hunter. So let's continue on. So first off, 1 mana, 2/1, Brave Archer. Love the art on this one. I think it looks really cool. But Inspire, if your hand is empty, deal 2 damage to the enemy hero. It's not gonna stick around too long, and I mean, especially with 1 health. Strong mechanic, because then your hero power essentially turns into 4 damage if you have no cards in your hand. But this thing has to be on the board, and essentially, I guess you gotta think of it like a 3 mana cost card again, like most of the Inspire cards. So you empty your hand, you play it, and you can do 4 damage to the face with your hero, with your Inspire, and then probably play off some other Inspire cards. Also, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of it. I think it might see play if it's. Nah, this is kind of an aggro card because you have to empty your hand, and Inspire doesn't work inside aggro decks. I don't think this is going to see play at all, unfortunately. What I probably would have liked to see instead of this Inspire mechanic is something to the effect of like make this a 2 mana cost card with like 2/3, kind of like the Druid card, and instead make it, your hero power is free. So that way you get Inspire, like you get tempo, you get board control with the 2/3, just like the Druid card, but the Aspirant. So you get board control with the 2/3, but then you can also use your hero power to kick off Inspire mechanics for the rest of your cards. I think it would have fit really well inside of a Hunter Inspire deck, or even like a Hunter, really most Hunter decks except for the really, terrible, terribly fast ones. So, I don't know. Good card, not good card, bad card, but I'm not sure you'll see any use whatsoever. Bear Trap, another card I'm not very high on. I mean, if you really kind of think about it, it's like 2 mana. Essentially, the 3/3 bear isn't going to stick around after you get hit by whatever. I mean, you're not going to play it this probably. You'd have to play this early, otherwise the 3/3 bear is not going to stick around. If you play it late, it's just dead. And it only did 3 damage. So the way I think about this card is that you're basically paying 2 mana so that your hero can now do 3 damage to whatever is attacking it, only once. And I'd much rather do 2 damage to everything else on the board. So, I mean, the flame trap is by far better, in my opinion. The 3/3 bear is never going to stick around past the minion that hits it. And if it does, then, I don't know, maybe you're gaining a little bit of tempo if you get this out on turn 2. Most good turn 2 mana cost cards now hit for 3 anyway, so the bear's not going to stick around. This is only really valuable, I think, if you can get this out on turn 1, maybe turn 2, depending on the matchup. Definitely not on turn 3. By then, the bear's dead, and you're just doing 3 damage to whatever is attacking it. Not an amazing card. I don't think you'll see playing anywhere. Lock and Load, 2 mana cost. Each time you cast a spell, add a random Hunter card to your hand. This card is pretty amazing. I'm not going to lie. This is really, really good. I think you'll see a deck probably built around this. I think you'll see probably a couple of decks. I know Raydad and on his stream even was just like, look, this is one of the big cards of the deck. This is probably in my top 10 as far as favorite cards. Yeah, this is really, really good. So. Because you can play this, then just start chain casting spells over and over and over again. You might just get tons of. I know this is the type of card that Hearthstone is kind of built on. That's just totally RNG based. I know we're going to get some sort of stream where someone drops a lock and load, and it's going to be quick shot, quick shot, quick shot, quick shot, and it's going to be absolutely amazing. So yeah, I'm looking forward to those type of streams. I'm not looking forward to playing against it. It's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait to see what happens with this particular card. King's Elk, Battlecry. With 2 mana, Battlecry, reveal a minion in each deck. If yours costs more, draw it. This is that Joust mechanic. It's a 3/2 beast. He gets a little bit that he's a beast. He's 3/2. A little bit of card draw. Most hunter decks skew low, so you probably won't be beating your... You probably won't win this joust most likely. Especially if you're playing a 3/2 on turn 2 instead of something with something with beefier stats in health. It's a good. It's nice that it's a beast. I don't think you'll. This might see play, but I don't think so. This doesn't really fit into aggro. Doesn't really fit into mid range really. Maybe control. Control Hunter still has cheap cards all over the place because a lot of it's traps and cheap weapons. Now, there's just not enough expensive Hunter cards in general to make this work. Don't think so. Power Shot. Deal 2 damage to a minion and the minions next to it. 3 mana cost. I like this. I like this one actually. This will be pretty nice in control trap cards, trap decks, and the mana cost skews pretty well at 3. You can play it off of a couple of different cards. It's the cost. If you only hit one, if you have to kill one minion, then 3 mana isn't that bad, and 2 damage will usually kill most minions. So yeah, I actually kind of like this one. It's mostly the mana cost and the 2 damage. Because if you play, you could use this and like a hunter's mark on the minion next to it, and so you could hit something that has 2 HP, which quite a few things have 2 HP, especially early, and hunter's mark the thing next to it and take it out pretty cheaply. So 2 damage really isn't a negative with hunters, I'd say. This will probably get moderate play. It's an interesting card at least. I don't know how great it is, but I do like it. Dreadskill, let's come back to Dreadskill. We'll come back to that here in a sec. Stable Master. So 3 mana for 2. Battlecry, give a friendly beast immunity this turn. So Inner Beast really has never really gotten a lot of play. I like the card, but it's just not seeing lots of play, quite honestly. So I don't think people are going to use this. 4/2 is terrible stats. Most 4/2 cards aren't used, like Cult Master. It's played on the turn that you need it. This is, I guess, is one of those that if you need immunity for a beast, then yeah, sure. But I don't know. Beasts aren't going to take out anything big. They're usually expendable outside of maybe your Savannah Highmane, but then you still get value once it's dead, so I'm not even sure there. Maybe Dreadskill in that lot. That might not be a bad idea. Or if you have like a King Cobra, you could take possibly out 2 minions with that King Cobra. That's kind of interesting. I don't like this for constructed whatsoever. I'm not even a big fan of this in arena. I don't think this is going to see a lot of play either, unfortunately. Alright, 5 mana Ram Wrangler. 3/3 Battlecry. If you have a beast, summon a random beast. So this is contingent if you have a beast on the board. So you'd have to have board control for the most part. You're playing 5 mana for a 3/3, which is terrible stats. Like really terrible stats. And you're summoning a random beast. Most of the beasts are low cost, so you'll probably get something around the 3 to 4 mana range, which is probably going to be a bear of some sort, or some sort of like jungle panther. So you'll probably end up with, let's just take the jungle panther for example, which has like 4/2 with stealth. So you end up with like 7, 5, right around 12 costs. If it's probably value, I don't know if it's value at turn 5. I honestly don't think so. And you'd have to have board control, so you'd have to be winning anyway. I don't like this card too much. Yeah, not a big fan of this one either. Ball of Spiders. Let's see. 6 mana, summon 3/1/1 web spinners. It's a very high mana cost. I mean, it is extremely high mana cost. But I don't know. I mean, I haven't liked very many cards for Hunter so far, and I'm not a massive fan of this one. I think it's interesting though. I think this, like, a lot of people are really down on this card, and I mean, yeah, you're getting 1/1s, and then you still have to pay for whatever you get out of the web spinners, and you know that can range pretty wildly. But you are getting it's like you're getting 3 cards out of it. You're paying 1 card, so you're getting 2 extra cards. So it's almost like a draw two. It's like a draw 2 random beasts ish. And the card, this, you're paying 6 mana for a random beast, 6 mana plus actually, for a random beast, and then you're getting 2 extra cards. I don't know. I mean, there's value to having 1/1s on the board also. I mean, there might be a deck that gets built out of this, and maybe this is exactly what Beast Hunter was needing. Something that just like a beast generator, just so they don't run out of cards. I have noticed that a lot of times, maybe not so much with Beast Hunter, but with Hunter decks in general, you run out of cards pretty early, like around turn 6, 7. If you play this on turn 6, you basically refill your hand. You have 3 1/1s on the board. You know, a little bit of board control. Yeah, I don't think this is quite as bad as people make it out to be. I think this might actually be pretty good. I'm going to go even so far to say this makes it into constructed in certain decks. I bet people will try and make this work. I think it will eventually work. I don't think this is, well, I'm not so big on this in Arena actually. As strange as that sounds. This might be a constructed only card. I'm not sure the value is there. It might be too slow for. I mean, it's slow for constructed also. Yeah, I think constructed will find a place for it. All right, so on to the legendaries. We have Acid Maw, 7 mana, 4/2, terrible stats. Whenever another minion takes damage, destroy it. And then its other brother, Dreadscale, 3 mana, 4/2. At the end of your turn, deal 1 damage to all other minions. So essentially for 10 mana between the two of them, you get an entire board wipe, and you're left with a 4/2 and a 4/1 because of the 1 damage to this guy. So 10 mana, board wipe, like complete board wipe. But then there's, of course, there's death rattles. There's, of course, shields and all sorts of other BS that happens. Immunities and stuff. I guess not immunities since it'd be AoE, but yeah. So what is the value in these guys? You can play them separately, so it's not quite. It's a little bit better than a Deathwing. You also aren't dropping your entire hand, though. By the time you have both of these 2 cards and it's 10, you're at 10 mana. You're probably low on cards anyway, unless you have Ball Spiders, right? But yeah, so this is another one of those hunter cards. I'd have to see it in use. I don't think there's a lot of use for Acid Maw. Well, actually, Asimov could also work with Unleash the Hounds. That's a pretty nice little combo. You'd be able to clear everything on their side of the board with that, and still have a 4/2 in play if you didn't have Dreadscale. So, and then does Dreadscale make any sense by itself? Do 1 damage to all of the minions at the end of your turn. Yeah. I mean, for 3 mana, that's actually not too bad. You can play that pretty early. That's basically you're getting, it's a 4/2 with Arcane Explosion. You're hitting your own minions, but it, you know, if you play it early in the curve, then it doesn't actually matter too much. Overall, I like both of these 2 cards. I think the synergy between them is pretty good. I mean, you end up with, you know, again, 9 mana worth of stats and a board wipe, like a pretty hard board wipe, and they can be played individually pretty soundly. Acid Maw not quite as much, but again, you know, you have to combo it with other things. But Dreadscale you could definitely play, and it's a good anti-hunter matchup. So I could see something like that. Nice little board wipe, especially with as many tokens as have been around. Yeah, so, and I mean you can play Dreadscale with Unleash the Hounds also, and basically 2 damage to everything on their side of the board. So, I mean, you play Dreadscale, play your Hounds. Dreadscale then kills everything. So, there's a couple of ways you can play with Dreadscale, and that's not quite as expensive as 10 mana, and still wipe just about the entire board. So, or at least do damage to everything. So, overall, I like both of the cards. Dreadscale a little bit more so than Asimov, but yeah. So yeah, so overall, not a whole lot. They get lock and load. I think this is the card that makes up for Hunter this expansion. Not much else coming out. So, at least in my opinion. Thanks, guys. I hope you appreciate it, and we're going to go on to Mages next. Thanks. Bye.